Some regrets stick with you for years. A gun you let go, a deal you passed on, or that one pistol everybody mocked until it outshot half the safe. I've watched it happen up close. A cop buddy who traded his boring plastic for the latest hype and still grumbles about it at every range day. My own list is ugly, near misses, last-minute trades I nearly made, and a few moments where only dumb luck stopped me from joining the crowd of guys kicking themselves. But these 10 handguns, not a single sleepless night. Everyone dodged a different kind of pain. Cash lost, pride wrecked, even trust with the crew at stake. Some stories hit quiet, others landed like a punch. No two regrets look the same. Somewhere in this list is the one pistol that went from being trashed by everyone to becoming pure gold. You've seen friends haunted by their mistakes. Maybe you've been there too. Here's the short list nobody ever apologized for owning, and the stories that proved it. I caught it the second I unzipped the case, eyes rolling, someone muttering about micro guns for micro hands. It was a brutal sweat-soaked Saturday. Texas sun burning through the tin roof, everyone running their classics. My crew, they stick to what works. Glock, Smith, whatever's already covered in holster wear. Me, I dropped the XMacro on the bench and didn't bother with the sales pitch. The jokes flew before I ever loaded a mag. Hope you brought enough ammo for that thing. Did you steal your wife's pistol? Fine. I just ran it cold, first string, 10 rounds fast, tighter than half their full sizers on a good day. They watched, got quiet, and you could feel it shift. One guy asked for a mag just to see. By the time we broke for water, he was already searching Gunbroker, and 2 others had their phones out, arguing over color and holster fits. By the end, nobody was laughing at the micro. Most of them tried to buy mine on the spot. If I'd listened to the trash talk, I'd have missed out on every second of it. Never felt that spike of pride when the crowd flipped. Never watched a toy turn a range full of skeptics into believers. They never apologized, but I never had to defend it again. I've had the VP9 sitting in my safe longer than a lot of guns I actually brag about, but trust. That was always in short supply. Every time I planned a serious range day or signed up for a match, there was this itch in the back of my mind. What if it fails right when it matters? Last year, just to cover my own paranoia, I stopped by the local pawn shop and borrowed another VP9. Ridiculous, maybe, but I figured if one choked, the other would bail me out. I set both down on the bench, loaded up, and ran drills side by side. Swapped mags, even mixed up the slides just to tempt fate. Nothing. Both guns ran boringly flawless. Not a single jam, no weird malfunctions, not even a hiccup. If anything, I ended up a little irritated, spent all that time doubting, and the VP9 just kept cycling. There wasn't any moment of pride, no audience, no handshake at the end. Just me, a couple of stubborn pistols, and the quiet relief of knowing I'd never needed that backup. Keeping the VP9 around, turns out that's the only part I never second-guessed, no matter how much I doubted it. Funny thing is, the next pistol on this list, that's the one I actually tried to leave behind, and it didn't let me. A buddy of mine, Jeet, isn't the type to chase trends. He picked up the Walther PDP full size just to fill a spot in his safe. Backup, maybe a loaner if a friend needed something, never meant to be his main piece. The PDP sat there for months, while Jeet kept reaching for his supposed favorites. Those were the guns that got the upgrades, the range time, all the attention, but every main pistol started letting him down, slow and steady. One trigger started feeling like gravel, another's mags got finicky and stopped feeding right, a third just never settled in his hand. No matter how many times he tried to talk himself into liking it, nothing failed big and loud. It was all those small letdowns that creep up and wear you down. When another pistol would annoy him, Jeet would just grab the PDP for this trip, just this once. Then it happened again and again, until one morning he stared into his safe and realized the Walther was the only gun he actually trusted. He remembered one afternoon almost listing it for sale, then picked it up and felt the grip. Steady, sure, familiar. If he'd actually let it go that day, he'd have lost the one pistol that never let him down, and the thought alone hit harder than he ever expected. Late one Wednesday afternoon, just after work, I stopped by my local shop. I wasn't hunting for anything, just unwinding, maybe planning to grab a box of ammo if it was on sale. The place was quiet, nobody at the counter except the owner, who spotted me the second I walked in. Before I'd even made it down the aisle, he had the Taurus GX4 XL out of the case, talking it up like it was the last pistol on earth. He called it the best kept secret in the shop, rattled off every stat like he'd rehearsed it for hours, and practically shoved it into my hand. This is what I carry. Nobody returns them, trust me. It was relentless. I tried to shrug him off, but the pitch just kept going. Features, price, deals, stories about other customers, the whole script. After 20 minutes, I caved. Bought the GX4 XL just to get some peace and get out. No rush of pride, just a weird sense of surrender. And the thing is, the guns never failed me. No issues, no regrets, big enough to force a sale. But every time I see it, I remember the pitch. Not a decision. That one never really felt like mine. The Hellcat Pro was never supposed to stick around. I picked it up as a stopgap, something to carry until the next must-have release dropped, or I found the upgrade everyone was buzzing about. I figured it was just passing through my hands. Every time a flashy new compact came out, I'd get the itch to trade. I'd line up my excuses, tell myself it was time to move on, maybe even start browsing listings or talk up a replacement with friends. But every time the moment came to actually make the switch, and I'd reach for the Hellcat Pro instead. Not because I loved it, because I just couldn't find a real reason to cut it loose. I stopped tinkering with it, stopped thinking about how it compared. One day, I realized I'd simply quit arguing with myself about it. I didn't fall in love with the Hellcat Pro. I just ran out of reasons to doubt it. Sometimes a gun wins by outlasting your excuses, and that kind of acceptance hits different. Meanwhile, there's another pistol I could never quite relax about. Every range trip felt like a coin toss, but the payoff when it mattered, that's a story I still can't quite believe. Early winter, December the 2025. Evening started closing in before I'd even left work. Street lights flickered on while the sky was still bruised blue. Cold air biting, breath showing white. Those after-work errands felt longer in the half-empty streets. Quiet, but with an edge you could feel. Every night that season, it was the HKC C9 I reached for. Zipped up my jacket, slid the pistol in place, never really letting myself relax about it. Right at the door, I'd pause. CC9 in hand, I'd double-check the mag, thumb the slide, adjust my grip just a little. You're supposed to trust the badge on the frame, the name on the box. My head said, no worries. My gut always said, watch it. That became habit. Every single time, a second of hesitation before stepping into the night. Errands went by without incident, but not without tension. Every step past an empty lot, every glance over a shoulder, I could feel the weight of the CC9. It never gave me a reason to complain, but it never let me forget it was there either. Back home, I'd hang up my coat, put the CC9 back in its place. I never regretted owning it, not for a single night in December 2025. But I never stopped watching it. That uneasy vigilance is the reason it's still around. Some guns just keep you honest. Most guns in my safe have a story, not this one. The M&P 9 2.0 Compact just blended in from day one. Regular Texas weekday. Long drive, sweat rolling, shirt stuck to my back. Pulled off at some half-empty Buc-ee's off the highway. I carried the M&P, not because it was the most exciting or the newest, but because it was there. No second guessing. No last-minute check. It rode shotgun on errands, took the heat, kept quiet. I can't remember the first time I trusted it. There wasn't a single moment where it proved itself. It just never gave me a reason to worry. Never begged for upgrades, never started drama, never needed defending. Half the time, I only noticed it when it wasn't there. When I think about regret, this one never even enters the conversation. It didn't make me feel anything, and that's exactly why it's still around. But not every gun gets to stay on cruise control. The next one on this video, I will show you Nearly forced a showdown. No calm, no coasting. Sometimes drama finds you whether you want it or not. I didn't bring the P10C to the range that night because I trusted it. I brought it because I didn't care if it got beat up. It was already scratched, already ignored, already sitting in the bag longer than it should have. If something went wrong, it wouldn't hurt my feelings. The plan was simple. Run cheap ammo, push speed, no babying anything. My main gun stayed on the bench while I kept grabbing the CZ'd out of habit, not confidence. Fast strings, sloppy reloads, zero patience, the kind of shooting where flaws show up quick. They never did. No drama, no moment, just repetition, mag after mag, hands tired, targets torn up. I stopped thinking about the gun entirely, which is when it hit me. I wasn't testing it anymore. I was relying on it without meaning to. That realization pissed me off more than it should have. I'd written the P10C off months earlier, almost dumped it for something better. But there I was, burning ammo through it like it belonged there. I didn't walk out proud. I walked out annoyed because getting rid of it would have been a mistake. And I knew it. The APX A1 was the odd man out in my safe. Never my first choice, always the one left behind. That changed the night my phone rang past midnight. Buddy of mine, adrenaline in his voice, needed a pistol. Fast. He just had a break-in. Everything gone. Nerves shot. I grabbed the Beretta without a second thought. No fancy case. Just threw it in a duffel and drove out. Didn't hear much for a couple of weeks. Next time we met, he dropped the A1 on my table. Finish beat to hell. Frame scuffed. Sight still straight. He'd carried it everywhere. Rain or shine. Barely cleaned it. Put every leftover box of ammo through it. Never jammed. Never slipped. Wanted to buy it for me right there. I just shook my head. It wasn't love. It wasn't pride. It was a gun that took real abuse and never gave anyone a reason to doubt it. Me or him. If I let it go, that would have been the one I couldn't explain. Last one's up next, and if you think I was tough on the Beretta, you haven't seen what my top pick survived. My old friend from Nevada, a cop, ruthless, never smiles, never trusts anything but his Glock, learned a lesson he didn't expect. One evening, on a routine street call, his Glock jammed. Magazine wouldn't seat, slide locked, and the seconds stretched like minutes. Everyone around noticed. It wasn't just embarrassment, it could have gone sideways fast. He reached down to his backup, the PSA Dagger Compact, a gun he never would have considered serious. No hesitation, no hand-holding. Slides racked. First shot fired, situation controlled. Instant relief, but no celebration. He didn't pump a fist, didn't smile, didn't even breathe easy. He simply holstered it and kept moving. That night changed how he carried. The dagger stayed in rotation, always on the belt, always loaded. He never admitted it changed his mind about Glocks. Never said a word, but anyone watching knew. If that gun could survive his judgment under fire, it earned its place at the top. I don't joke around with my gear either. Seeing the dagger prove itself on that night made my decision easy. I'll never let mine go. Not flashy, not expensive, but when it mattered most, it was the only one I'd trust. That's why it's number one. It's number... Regret's a stubborn thing. Most shooters carry it. Lost money, lost trust, or just that pit-in-the-gut feeling every time a certain gun pops up in a group chat. But not with these 10. These are the pistols that paid off. The ones that never sent a late-night shiver or left you staring at a resale post you wish you could delete. I've kept my pride, held onto a few guns nobody else believed in, and watched the same relief play out for friends who trusted their gut. If you've got a never regret story, or that one pistol you can't believe you almost let slip, drop it in the comments. Every close call on this list hit different, but none left a mark. Don't play it safe. Regret's waiting for anyone who hesitates. I'm Steve, and you know me. Don't second guess it. Catch you next time.